Big dog, we need to talk about YCS Niagara. There were so many game-changing things that happened because of Rage of the Abyss that you need to know about because it will change how you play Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with ya, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that's your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. I'm gonna let you guys know right now, it is not going to be Update Monday yet again. We're going to Update Tuesday one more time because we have to talk about what happened at YCS Niagara. And of course, like I said, how it can change your Yu-Gi-Oh card game or how you play it. I think that Yu-Gi-Oh is in a very interesting spot. It feels like you can play whatever deck you want, even powerful budget Yu-Gi-Oh decks. And YCS Niagara and decks that happened over the weekend can actually help prove the case. But let's go ahead and starting off and talking about the event. Is this really a new Yu-Gi-Oh meta, despite Fire King Snake Eyes winning it all? YCS Niagara had 875 players, which seems really small for a YCS. But when you look at it, it's actually on par to what we've had for Canadian events. YCS Vancouver in 2023 had 731 players, and Niagara in 2022 had 837 players. So in case players thought that Yu-Gi-Oh was dying or a continued trend of Yu-Gi-Oh dying because of YCS Cancun, we can positively say that that's not happening, at least in Canada. Wasn't Cancun affected by the hurricane? Let's talk about that. In my last video, I said that Konami poorly managed a YCS. Not only did they put a YCS event date in the middle of hurricane season, they also put it at a spot where hurricanes hit the hardest. And a lot of players were saying that that was the biggest reason why players did not attend, because there was a hurricane coming. But the counter argument to that is, why the hell would you put an event during hurricane season where the hurricane happens the most? Momo said it correct, guys. It's literally like summoning 5 times and expecting not to be Nibiru. Bro, what are you doing? Now, I did maliciously say that Konami is trying to line up their pockets and they don't care about you guys. I apologize for that. That was out of character. Not that they don't care about you guys. I believe that. But I think that Konami does genuinely try in some aspects. I think it is a marketing strategy to go outside of where we know Yu-Gi-Oh events would be big, to try to broadcast Yu-Gi-Oh as much as possible. And my beef has always been with the timing of these events, not necessarily the areas. I mean, to be honest with you guys, I can't wait for a YCS Detroit. I can't wait for a YCS Watts, California. Yeah, boy. Chat, let's get a YCS Chirac. Let's go. YCS Oakland, boy! Spread the love, Konami. Spread the love. If it makes you feel better, I read Niagara as Nigeria at first. But back on to Konami actually trying. There is a new prize that Konami is starting to give players outside of Nintendo Switch 2 in the Stream Deck. And let me show you what it looks like. This is what I mean by Konami trying. It's a card frame with the logo on it. You see, chat, they're trying. They're partnered with IKEA and they're giving us half of the things. We gotta figure out what to do with the rest. God damn it, it looks like a kid. Bro, they're trying. They're trying. How many switches can you fit there? Ah! Look, man, look. I know that the pricing for YCSs still isn't good, but I'm gonna commend Konami for actually trying to give us something that is close to what we wanted. You can give a YCS winner 100K in 10 cases of the new set, and they'd still complain. Let's keep it 55th Street. Yep. Okay, I got to get on you guys as the community. At this point in time, it almost doesn't matter what Konami does. And if I side with them or go against them, y'all go figure out a way to complain. So guys, let's genuinely look at this from an unbiased lens. I think this is a step in the right direction. It's just weird. Real question is though, who in chat is actually topping a YCS? Damn! Chat, he shot me, he shot you, he shot everybody watching this video. Chat, we're not even good enough to get this poor trash support. We're not good enough to get the bad prices. All right, anyways, I think one of the most perplexing things about YCS Niagara is that there was no live stream coverage. We get coverage in North America, which last time I checked, Canada was a part of North America, and we get live stream coverage in Europe. And I find it really weird that if Konami is trying to go to these other smaller areas to promote their event, why wouldn't they broadcast it to the world? Canadian laws prevent it from streaming? There's no way. It was implemented last year? Canadians wanted 5% and Konami said no? I just looked it up, guys. No, Canadian laws do not prevent streaming, but they do require foreign streaming services to contribute to Canadian content. A law passed in 2023 requires foreign streaming services to contribute to Canadian content. The law requires streaming services over 25 million in Canadian revenue to contribute 5% of their annual revenue to the Canadian content. Yeah, actually, well, let's go ahead and look up Konami's revenue. Konami's revenue is 2.51 billion. Yeah, I ain't giving 5% of that shit. They can go fuck themselves. 5% is 31 million? Nah, you go away. Nah. I think that this confirms that Konami does plan way ahead of time when they're giving out events. But, and I wouldn't be surprised if Konami stops doing events in Canada and starts doing events right at the border. I actually think that that's a phenomenal idea. We saw Worlds happen in Seattle, and I can expect things to happen in Washington and those neighboring states for the remainder of Yu-Gi-Oh's tenure if they want to continue to promote their card game. But moving on to the event, out of the 875 players, I got to talk to a decent amount of them. I mean, as many as I could. And I got some cards that players were really hyped about. Of course, one of the biggest, baddest cards in the game is Molchummy Flawless. And I'll talk about that card in just a second, because I think that that card is actually game-changing. But some other cards that I noticed that were incredibly powerful were Triple Tactics Thrust, Retaliating C, and another thing being Molchummy Perulia almost disappeared. It's almost like somebody told you guys that Perulia's not going to be one of those major players in Yu-Gi-Oh! What about Dominus Impulse? Oh, how can I forget? That card was crazy too. Dominus Impulse being a walking solemn judgment, but could also act as another Ash. All you have to do is give up on Nibiru and Effect Veiler inside of your deck. Triple Tactics Thrust being able to always be activated because of Molchummy Flawless being shotgun. And then Retaliating C being a really good counter to a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategies. It's a card that I think you guys should buy before it skyrockets in price, but we'll talk about that a little later. But like I said, one of the biggest impactful cards is Molchummy Flawless, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Players have to pick. If you are going to be playing in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta where Flawless is going to be dominant, you might want to focus on strategies that don't summon from the main deck or extra deck as much. And I think that was the approach that a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players took. But I think it's time to go ahead and go into the top cut, guys, and show you guys the deck list to help prove my point. There was 9 Azamina Snake Eyes, 5 Yubel Fiendsmith, 5 Tenpai Dragon, 5 Fire King Snake Eyes Azamina, 3 Rescue Ace Azamina, 1 Ritual Beast, 1 Labyrinth, 1 Plant, 1 Centurion Bestial, 1 Millennium Exodia, and 1 Sky Striker. I want to go ahead and take a look at Oliver Beludio's Exodia deck profile. And by the way, before we get into it, I just want to say, I was right. Here we have it, boys. It looks like a standard Exodia deck that doesn't use Molchummy Flawless and doesn't necessarily special summon too much outside of the extra deck. So a deck that's pretty good. It can main cards like Dimension Shifter, Ash Blossom, and Infinite Impermanence. And I don't think that there's any light monsters. There is. The new Heart of the Blue Eyes is, because I was going to say, there's Earth monsters too, so forget everything that I said about running Dominus Impulse. A lot of people talk about how Snake Eyes Azamina, Snake Eyes Fire King, Snake Eyes Fiendsmith, those are some of the better decks, but Imad Fajim played Rescue Ace Snake Eyes, and to be honest with you, the Snake Eyes and Azamina cards are really just to protect your Rescue Ace. This is his particular build, and Dominus Impulse is crazy good in this deck because there's not a single light, wind, or earth monster that plays inside of a fire dark deck, right? Also, keep in mind this deck does not need to special summon from the extra deck as much, and as long as you resolve the effect of Rescue Ace Turbulence, you cooking. The cool thing that is that the deck diversity doesn't even stop there, guys. In the top 16, there's 3 Fire King, 1 Sky Striker, 1 Tenpai, 1 Labyrinth, 7 Snake Eyes, 1 Yubel, 1 Centurion, and 1 Ritual Beast. So one thing that we did notice is that Yubel almost completely fell off. We also noticed that Snake Eyes did convert from top 32 to top 16, but it's going to get a little bit shaky for them. And there's finally somebody's name that I can actually pronunciate, Cecilia Graham's Ritual Beast deck is one of those strategies that I think is just really good. In this particular deck list, we have the Retaliating Sea making its debut. This card is crazy good against Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that fusion summon using spell cards, because you summon this card to the field and then all of them get banished, which can be a game wrecker. We also have Pakawat's Bestial Centurion deck. He actually has a deck profile up on his channel right now. And this is one of those strategies that he said is really good because it's a strategy that can play around Mochummy Flawless. A lot of players are trying to build around this particular card, which I think is the biggest reason why we're having deck diversity. One thing that I absolutely love in here is Retaliating Sea, but also Deck Lockdown, my boy. This card is actually ridiculously crazy. I would advise you guys to pick up your ultra rare copies too. The new support, Centurion Primera Primus, was actually thought of to be really good for Yu-Gi-Oh! Or for Centurions and make it a solid contributor. And this deck, I think, is a really, really good deck and will have some legs going forward. I think it's going to be pretty cool to look at the top 4 Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks. Ryan Kerrigan with Mommy Milkers is going to be my choice here. And this kind of proves that you don't have to play the math version of Labyrinth, and it can still be a pretty powerful Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck. Keep in mind, this deck can search Dominus Impulse, which is the new solemn warning, and gains the effect to be able to destroy the card too. But it can also search cards like Dimensional Barrier and its own shifter in different dimension ground, as well as even if this deck does get shifted, it's not the end of the world. It can still keep playing. Tenpai Dragon getting into the top cut is almost expected, and I really don't have anything really to say about this particular deck other than I like how the Grand Tuska Dragon can destroy 2 cards on the field and probably is summoned off of Heretic Seals of Heavenly Spheres, right? I think the real killer here is going to be this Sky Striker deck. It getting second place at the entire event is insane. This deck does hit multiple points of interaction. It does not special summon from the deck. It also does not need to special summon multiple times from the extra deck. It doesn't special summon from the hand, so the Mochummy cards are completely useless. It's really good at going second, and if you tell your opponent that you're going second, they think you're on Tenpai. So they may build a board to beat Tenpai and lose to Sky Striker. I was actually surprised that he didn't get first, because this deck is crazy good. But first place is going to be Snake Eyes Azamina Fire King, and it's going to go to Landon Oliver. Congratulations to everybody that made the top cut of the YCS. Don't let nobody tell you whether you're 1 or 32. You guys made a huge accomplishment, and this may be what we're looking to beat into the next format. I think more people are going to be playing this deck just strictly because it won the event. But overall, I think that the meta just isn't solved just yet. There's still too many outliers to look at, but Tenpai Dragon, Sky Striker, and Labyrinth getting into the top 4 of YCS Niagara, an incredibly competitive event, says a lot about how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is headed to hopeful. I can't wait to see what you guys have to say about YCS Niagara and everything in between. Go ahead and let us know down below in the comment section. But until then, you can check out these videos so I can catch you on the next one.